Ausa, I welcome all the honorable dignitaries and participants here on the virtual platform for the national webinar on the topic Hope for the Greener World. I would like to inform all the audience and the dignitaries that the college has been organizing a long series of webinars, national and international. Till today, hundreds of webinars have been completed on different topics related with various fields. The main theme of this webinar series is for women and environmental conservation. The objectives of the series are to exchange knowledge, to enrich knowledge, and we have the intellectual discussions to find answers and solutions. The webinar series is benefiting students, researchers, teachers, knowledge seekers, and people from different fields. The attempt could be materialized and could be translated into reality due to the inspiration of chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar series, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Ambedkar sir. I welcome him as the chairperson of this webinar. Today, I am very happy to welcome Honorable invited speaker and resource person, Professor Shweta Suhane ma'am from Institute of Architecture and Planning, Nirma University, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. I heartily welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of the organizing committee of webinar series, Shri Kumarswami College, Ausa. I also welcome all honorable dignitaries, committee members of organizing committee, Vice Principal ESD Misal sir, Junior College Supervisor Ravindra Karanje sir, MCVC Supervisor Praveen Udge sir, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Sanjay Kade sir, Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am, Dr. Sudhir Garad sir, Ambadas Khillare sir, Dr. Patwari sir and Dr. Wadkar sir. I do not want to spend much time in between the keynote speaker and the audience. But before that, I would like to invite Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am for the introduction of honorable invited speaker. Please ma'am, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. You are welcome to this grand national and international webinar series. On occasion of Golden Jubilee year of the college, Shri Kumarswami Mahavidyalaya Ausa has organized a wonderful grand knowledge sharing webinar series with the aim of women empowerment and women dignity. This series is going on very successfully and systematically because of the efficient and motivational personality respected Dr. Ambedkar MM and all the resource persons and punctual participants. So I am very thankful to respected principal for giving me this opportunity to introduce a resource person on this virtual platform. Many special thanks to all the organizing committee members and a big thanks to all the respected participants. Those are joining daily and they are making this series a very successful series. So it's my pleasure. I am here to introduce today's keynote speaker, Honorable Professor Shweta Suhane ma'am from Institute of Architecture and Planning, Nirma University, Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India. Title of speech is Hope for a Greener World. Professor Shweta ma'am has completed Masters in Landscape Architecture from Hyderabad and Bachelor of Architecture from Amravati University. She is a founder and fellow member of Indian Society of Landscape architecture. She is also a member of Council of Architecture. She has 22 years of working experience in this area. She published Greening Gujarat Science City Ahmedabad yearly magazine. She presented paper with theme Green Urban Forestry in India, the radical plan to enhance tree cover at national level, and presented papers in an international conference also. She organized a number of seminars on understanding of green architecture, status of water and water pollution, etc. She has awarded the Certificate of Appreciation from GCSC for contribution in the success of various events. She also awarded certificate from Forest Department, Government of Gujarat for successful completion of the project Srushti at Nal Sarovar. She has handled 31 projects like landscape of police officers' maze, landscape of Golden Temple complex at Amritsar, Metso Park industrial site at Ajmer, Jaipur, various residences at Noida, UP, regional landscape of high-tech city and area around Charminar in Hyderabad, etc. So after this introduction, I request today's keynote speaker, Honorable Professor Shweta ma'am. Please start your speech. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Anita ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Bedkar sir, for being kind enough and humble enough to put together so many women in a common platform and letting them speak out. So it feels a great amount of energy and passion to do these kind of activities, and I am really humbled by the whole fact that being a male fraternity, you are doing so much for enhancement and bringing so much of strength to women fraternity. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Anita ma'am, for your humble presentation. Talking about me. I'll just add on. I'm a postgraduate in a landscape architecture from Center of Environmental Planning and Technology, that is in Ahmedabad, that is not in Hyderabad. So CEPT is a premier university since last 40 years, and right now I am into academics since last 6 years, and I am a professor at Nirma University in the Institute of Architecture and Planning, and it is nice because after crossing 40-45 years, it was like lot of field work on site, and it was like running around for too much of money and too much of projects and all this stuff. But then it wasn't that we were sharing our knowledge with the next generation. So academia has brought that leverage, that whatever bit of it we know, we are able to share it with students, and it gives us a good amount of energy and strength to look forward for the next day, because we know next day morning 9 o'clock we'll be having another group of people who are waiting for us to talk and share our knowledge. So right now I'm also doing my PhD into something similar. The topic what I have chosen is Hope for a Greener World. So this is how I started my journey into research, wherein I presented this topic into an international platform. That was, I had been to Bangkok, and it was appreciated a lot there. So after that, I have taken my PhD topic as urban forest, and I'm looking into the governance part, and I'm again taking a case of Ahmedabad city to understand that being a tropical climate, and Ahmedabad is part of Gujarat, and Gujarat doesn't have a lot of rosy days of being we do not have so much of rains, but still we are able to have a good climate. It's not as bad as Rajasthan, but yes, we have lot of heat. So even today we are crossed 39 degrees centigrade, and that's just in April. So we understand that what is happening to the vegetation. So how are they able to survive this heat? So I'll just share my PPT. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So, if at any, because I'm not able to see anyone and if I'm not audible and my screen is not visible, kindly let me know, because many times it happens कि I just get lost in talking and पता ही नहीं चलता है कि दूसरी तरफ आवाज भी नहीं सुनाई दे रही है. So just poke me अगर मेरी आवाज नहीं सुनाई दे रही है या my presentation is not seen. So I'll check my internet connection. So to start with, my topic for today is hope for a greener future. I say hope for a greener world, but yes, we talk about the next generation. We talk about the future, that where are we going to. So let us all visualize an isolated world. There could be no more paper and everyone would have a choice to technological use it. What if this imagination becomes a reality? So generally to this, I mean, we take these kind of talks and ये एक slide पे पूरा class हो जाता है, but यहाँ पर I will have a separate slides. So we are just thinking about that, what will happen if this imagination becomes a reality, which is slowly we are into this climate change and we are actually stepping into this kind of reality. And we know what we are doing. So this is an image which is showing that we have been messing with the climate for thousands of years. Our greed is unstoppable to accumulate without being empathetic to the environment. So we have been accumulating and still our greed, we are unstoppable. So talking about some estimates and some statistics, the world's most populous nation in 2050, the current world population is 7.7 billion as of January 2019, according to the most recent United Nations estimates elaborated by Worldometers. About 2 billion more people will live in cities by 2050, and the infrastructure required will generate another 100 billion metric tons of CO2. But where are the greens? Can we analog the color greens with cities? If given a palette to represent the city, the younger generation takes pride to sketch and color the palette with yellows, grays and blacks. So our cities are a mix of some dirt, yellow, faded greens and cement grays, because this is the fact. Because we are not leaving anything for the next generation. We are eating up all the greens and we are just leaving behind some yellows, grays and blacks. And grays meaning all the infrastructure, all the road, and blacks is all our buildings and all the footprints, what we are trying to say. So where are the greens? It is a big question, that where are we heading to? And then we have issues like urbanization, which is taking a levy on the green coverage of the country. With the added expansion of cities and metropolitans, the number of trees and plantations are significantly waning away or diminishing. As a result, the quality of air and water is degrading. Air pollution levels are increasing. We know cities are a source of numerous hazardous gases, mainly vehicles like passenger cars, lorries, buses, which generate CO2, carbon monoxide, SO2, N2O, benzene, etc. In addition to fine article released by diesel motors, which generates a serious peril to human health. And urbanization is accompanied by concretization across the cities. Half these toxic particles in our air come from construction dust and destruction of these vegetation. And this burden of extraordinary sprawl, they are indicating lamenting the failure of public infrastructure too. So there is a robust paradigm for building climate resilience in Indian city. A grey situation is presented with a little civic awareness, old-fashioned methods of urban planning, and deficient capacity to react to climate disasters. So climate change and its impact on health, which is kind of, we are talking about the threats to public health. So we can, kind of talk about that these rise of all the harmful gases, these are embrace the conception, augmentation, and complications of situations concerning almost all organ system of human and the majority of other biological flora and fauna. So coming back to what has happened in our Indian culture, so we used to talk about coexistence with nature. We talk about Indian civilization which grew from the forest and learned its principles of democracy and diversity from it. In ancient India, environment was not an isolated entity independent of mankind. Plants, animals, and the whole universe was an extended family to them. Reason behind they worshipping trees, rivers, mountains, oceans, creatures, and animals. So you have these 4 images in front of you, which is kind of giving us a direct correlation of coexistence with nature, and that is, we are talking about our Indian culture. So the first image, it talks about serpent deities at Belur, Karnataka. Second image talks about Lord Durga riding a tiger, 18th century, Himachal Pradesh. The third one is lion-headed Egyptian goddess. Again an image from Copenhagen. And the fourth is statue of a cow, Lord Shiva temple, statue from Andhra Pradesh. So worships of plants and trees is common to many civilizations of yore. People tree to Hindus, Christmas trees to Christians, oak trees of Greeks, papyrus or Egyptians. The people tree, we all know it purifies the surrounding where it is planted, kills bacteria, largest oxygen provided, etc., etc. So this is how our ancient culture had, put that ideology saying that we have to worship people tree. That is what we try to propagate and talk about it, that why these ancient people have put these mythologies. So in this image, we can see all the ladies tying, so what Savitri and all these kind of festivals wherein we tie this rope around a tree, asking blessings and trying to get connected with nature. So we have examples of Bodhi tree, we have examples wherein we tie all these wishes on this tree. We have Kalpavriksha, again the immortal banyan tree at Kurukshetra. So this concept of participatory forest management was also prevalent in ancient India. Panchvati is a cluster of 5 types of tree in the ancient Indian forest text. Talking about these 5 types of tree is Agil, Marmilosa, Acacia ferruginea, Ficus religiosa, Azadirachta indica, that is neem, Ficus racemosa, Amla, Banyan, Ashoka, they are the added tree in this Panchvati. So Vedic area traditions also affirm that every village will be intact only when certain categories of forests are forested. So the natural forest, we call it as Mahavan. The forest of prosperity, we call it as Shrivan. The forest of religion, we call it as Tapovan. So in the next 100 years, the world is likely to be warmer by more than 4 degrees Celsius, that is 7.2 degrees Fahrenheit, unless human beings takes action to reduce their impact on Mother Earth. Maximum temperature recorded in some Indian cities are all in the range of 40 to 47 degrees, crossing 50 degrees. Even fan or air conditions will not defend us in summer. So experts and scientific community, they have this mammoth challenge to stop temperature from rising and making the country cool. And we say our survival is under threat. So as we breathe, what we exhale, the trees are inhaling. What the trees exhale, we are inhaling. And only 1/2 of this respiratory equipment is in our chest. Another half is hanging up there on this, we call it as tree. And our lives are not separate from each other. It is integrated, connected life. So these are some Google images we try to, because audience can relate to it. So diminishing green cover, it has left us gasping for breath. Between 1990 to 2010, cities built up area, it grew by 132%. Tree cover fell from 46 to 24%. One shares a tree with 10 other individuals. And urban stresses and cities' empathy to green canopies, direct conflict with pedestrian and vehicles for breathing space, underground utilities such as pipes and cables, they also intrude into the space of trees, impacting their overall address. I hope everyone would connect when we talk about direct conflict with pedestrian and vehicles for this breathing space. And this talking about this infrastructure, that underground utilities such as pipes, cables, they intrude into the space of trees, impacting their overall address. So we are talking also about trees are sustainability power tools. They purify and cool the atmosphere, maintain heat levels, neutralize the urban heat island effect, keep up water quality, control flow, carry measurable mental and physical health advantages to concrete fatigue city people. If we wonder about this tree-lined city in the middle of a busy city, it makes us feel of something very pleasant, calm, fresh, and far away from clatters and heavy sounds. So, because urban trees, they are frequently categorized into the comfort or pleasant to have groups in city budgeting decisions, indeed less prioritized than public safety and infrastructure maintenance. Funding its time and again scarce and fails to treat trees as long-term investment and without doubt not one that can bring health benefits. Urban tree, it reduces sufficient particulate matter from the atmosphere to produce approximately around rupees 450 crores worth of reductions in healthcare requirement at the city level. If public health spending in cities amplifies by just rupees 750 per person, that would produce enough public investment to finance the preservation and extension of urban forests and bring the resulting health benefit. This is only a rough model, but the case for treating trees as infrastructure that helps in public health, which could decrease the use for spending in that sector, is strong. So it is important for urban forestry department to wholly integrate this health benefit of their trees into messaging and goals in order to break down city agencies, silos, and communicate further effectively with urban health and planning departments. As more and more cities widen, strategies to make resilience against climate change, a healthy urban canopy will be an immensely compulsory constituent. So by 2025, two-thirds of world's population is expected to live in urban areas. The distance between city inhabitants and nature is increasing. Urban greenery is one of the ways to bridge this gap between people and nature. Green infrastructure, non-priced benefits, they contribute and improve quality of urban life. It is new and developing research field, constitutes creation, planning and management of urban woodland as well as trees in streets and parks. It concentrates on green resources in and around urban areas such as woodlands, public and private urban parks and gardens, urban nature areas, street trees, square plantations, botanical gardens and cemeteries. So this art, science and technology of managing trees and forest resource in and around urban community ecosystem for physiological, sociological, economic and aesthetic benefits trees provide society. So we talk about urban forestry and what are its benefits. So we have ecological, we have social, we have economic benefits. So urban forestry, we are talking about these benefits. So we have environmental values, which are air quality, water quality, lower heating and cooling costs, reduced noise pollution, ecological values, health values, economic values, shelter, aesthetic values, etc. These are some Google images of what exactly is urban forestry. So we kind of talk about all what we see in an urban setting, meaning फॉरेस्ट जंगल होता है, जंगल अगर रूरल एरिया में हो तो उसको जंगल बोलेंगे, अर्बन एरिया में होगा सो वी कॉल इट एज अर्बन फॉरेस्ट, मीनिंग अगेन रूरल फॉरेस्ट्री इज वेयर वी हैव लेस ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, लेस ऑफ बिल्डिंग्स एक्सेट्रा, सो वो जंगल एक्चुअली जंगल ही रह जाता है. And in urban context, what happens is whatever is green, wherever water is able to percolate below the ground and infrastructure starts kind of dominating the urban context, giving a backseat to vegetation. There, these urban forestry takes actually a backseat, and wherein these benefits of planting and protecting trees becomes important for all of us urban dwellers. This forest cover of the district is declining as revealed in the State of Forest Report 2017. The district has recorded a 13.4% drop in forest cover. Based on population estimates in 2015, trees per person in Russia, China, Canada, United States, global average is 422. India has an average of 28. And there is a projection that by 2020, tree cover is likely to fall. Calcutta is going to become 3.37%. Ahmedabad is 3% or lesser than that. Bhopal is still at 11%. But there is another catch situation where in National Forest Policy it talks about average forest and tree cover of 33% of the geographical area of the whole of country, meaning 1/3 of the total area needs to be a forest. So as per Tree Census 2012, tree cover in urban India, so we can see Delhi, Bangalore municipality areas of Gujarat and Gandhinagar, we see Ahmedabad as 4.6% of the municipal areas, which is kind of, it is very low. And talking about Ahmedabad, in 1990, the built-up area in Ahmedabad and within 10 kilometer outskirts was 7.13% of the total area. It grew to 14.58% in 2010. Vegetation was 36.7% of the total. In 1990, shrunk to 24.34%. So this was again a study done by IISc Bangalore. And this study takes into account Ahmedabad city limits and areas within 10 kilometers of the outskirts. So Ahmedabad will have only 3% green cover by 2030. It was in the Times of India, March 30, 2016. And we have some images of the city, that is Ahmedabad, and we can see how infrastructure, how this development is kind of started dominating the city in its own manner, which is, we call it as development, but then my urban forest or the vegetation and the greenery is taking a back seat. So 3 lakh trees cut every year in the state. These are again some newspaper cuttings. So Ahmedabad has had fragmented growth in its northeast and southwest over 3 decades, which has created many residential and industrial patches on the periphery. City today grows along major roads and industrial areas. Unplanned growth creates social and environmental problems, which is talked about from the IISc report. Green cover in Ahmedabad is diminishing. City's built-up area is growing every day. Urban footprints are trampling upon green and open space to pave way for the concrete development. Trees are the softest target to make space for the built-up areas. Thousands of trees, some older than 60-70 years, are being cut for development projects, including metro, flyover. And this is not just the case of Ahmedabad. Any other city, if we can talk about, Ahmedabad is just a city because I have taken this as my own PhD research case study. The concrete footprint of the city has increased to about 5 square kilometers every year between 1990 to 2017. This increase has taken away 31% green space and 34% open space of the city. By 2030, next generation will be left with just 3% of the existing tree population. So we have a lot of problems of monitoring and sustainability. And this is the kind of curiosity that if we are talking about several states, like we are saying Tamil Nadu's government decision to plant 68 lakhs tree sapling across the state to mark the former Chief Minister's 68th birthday at a whopping cost of 68 crores. Saying Maharashtra government's decision to achieve planting of 50 crores tree sapling in next 3 years. Similarly, government's plantation drive of 10 crore saplings during the 67th One Mahotsav across the state in Gujarat in August 2016. So all the different states and different stakeholders, they are all taking their own governmental or political leverage by, kind of planting 68 lakh trees or 50 crore tree or, 100 crore tree. But then that all of it is planted in just one single day, or maybe in just 1 or 2, because it says 5th June is World Environment Day and they all plant it on there. what happens to the monitoring and sustainability, because end of the day they are all public money what they are doing. So this is the curiosity. There is a strong urge and need to reshape the state of environmental affairs in our surrounding. Common choice that is made in this direction is planting trees. Given this unprecedented rates of urbanization, tree plantation, urban farming, vertical forest, etc., appear to be well-meaning efforts to forest the remnant parcels of land. The governance of tree, it is an important aspect in urban areas. Community needs to be sensitized for the coexistence of trees and development with a strong value to the urban forest. For a sustainable development, trees need to be treated as part of the urban infrastructure. And if there is a national goal of achieving 33% green cover, I am curious to find out all possible reasons and challenges to achieve it. And why just me? Can it not be a national goal? So this is like we are kind of going into the depth of why we are trying to talk about we are just at 3% or 4%. And these are simple some mechanisms in which we try to propagate and preach and tell the different fraternities who are technical people and who are, so we keep propagating our knowledge. We keep going to schools, different colleges and various different technical, non-technical, etc., and all the platforms wherein we try to go and talk about it, saying that please do your own bit. So these are some slides on talking about that there are air pollution control by plants. So plants, they do help in indoor air quality. And there are a lot of Google images by NASA and other wherein they try to propagate that these are small plants like areca, mother-in-law tongue plant, money plant, etc. They take up harmful gases from our indoor environment. So why cannot it be planted or why cannot it be brought to our own house? Because they take up away harmful gases from our, so they are, because this corona has also taught us that we need to be healthy, and healthy meaning we need to be connected to the nature. So these are small means by which we can be kind of connected to the nature. And then there are list of plants which can be brought home, and talking about bamboo plant and peace lily and mother-in-law tongues and etc. etc. So just imagine what our streets and neighborhoods would be like without trees. Talking about over the course of 50 years, a single tree can recycle 25 lakhs worth of water, generate 21 lakhs of oxygen, control 21.42 lakhs worth of soil erosion, provide 42 lakhs worth of air pollution control, etc. So again, there is a lessons learned. There are many, we keep on digging data and understanding what are other countries doing. And because there is lessons learned, there we can take up lessons from other countries and cities and directly we can use. So in Philippines, 10 पेड़ लगाएंगे तभी मिलेगी graduation की degree. So this is one bylaws that has gone and into Philippines. Central Park in the New York, you can see the city has a big Central Park. Again, 100 years ago, F.L. Olmsted carried out a research of how parks facilitate property worth from 1856 to 1873. He trailed the value of property immediately next to Central Park in order to justify rupees 9750 lakhs spent on its making. Over the 17-year period, there was rupees unit 10, 100,000, 1,56,750 lakhs increase, that is 93.77% in the worth of property impacted by this park. So we see there is an economics also that grows with common plot or greenery and all. So this idea needs to be kind of propagated and talked about, that what are these other countries and different countries doing and where are we heading to. So there are a lot of examples of Millennium Park, Chicago. Again, talking about this, I'll just quickly go. In South San Francisco, a park isn't just a place to play and enjoy nature, but a way to manage flooding and improve water quality. So we are talking about ecosystem services through these kind of parks. Singapore is again a garden city, and official tagline for Garden City, but lately it is the city in the garden. So the whole economic revolves around, because we as professionals, we as tourists, we all visit Singapore to go and see their gardens. So the whole city is surviving from its tourism sector. Melbourne, Australia, Shanghai, China. So we have a lot of examples. In some Shanghai, a waterfront is not just a walking path, but a series of cultural events, venues for gathering large and small. The New York High Line officially opened. So this is again a very good case study wherein a dilapidated High Line was converted into a park, and how the property around that park has escalated. So these are few examples, and this is a very good example of Shirin Yoku. It is a Japanese way of kind of talking about forest bathing. It is a scientifically proven to improve our health. Japan initiated a national health program of Shirin Yoku in 1982, meant spending more time around trees. So not jogging, not workouts, just quiet meditation near trees. It is not just about fresh air. Trees emit oils as shelter from germs and insects, a gentle path to wellness accessible to almost everybody. So this is like foreign countries, they are giving names to certain things. In India, we call it as ki, whenever the summer comes, we go to a tourist place, we go to a hill station, meaning we return from that hill station with lot of energy and peace. And this is what it happens, because we have bathed into a forest, and we have actually taken up that energy from trees. So it talks about trees emit oils as shelter from germs and insects. And we become fresh, because we get that me time with the family and all those stuff. And again, this is also a very good example of governance. The Constitution of Bhutan, it demands a minimum of 60% of total land shall remain under forest cover for all times. So that is something very nice, because this, when you put this part into their constitution, the whole country will not, because it is an act. So 60% of it has to be forest cover. So to conserve the country's natural resource and to prevent degradation of the ecosystem. So this makes Bhutan stand out as most carbon negative country in the world. And one of the very few biodiversity hotspots in the world, aims to remain carbon neutral for all time to come. Advancement with values stay faithful to the core mission of gross national happiness, that is GNH. So today it is 72% of the country is under forest cover. And this is again Miyawaki method. You must have been reading in various newspapers wherein you have read it. Miyawaki plantations, because this is one way in which a forest is developed in just 2 to 5 years. So when a forest takes 100 years to grow, there are a lot of cases, and in Ahmedabad also we have more than 10 cases of developing Miyawaki forest. And this person, Mr. Shubhendu Sharma, he had worked with Akira Miyawaki, and he trained himself and he is kind of propagating it. So if anyone is interested, you can go to this website of A Forest, and you can also do this forest in just 10 years or maybe 3 years also. You have a huge jungle and it can be done in your backyard also. So this is very simple method which is started from Japan, but then in India a lot of people are doing it. So Gujarat, it stands, there are many examples of Gujarat also. I will quickly go. Sabarmati riverfront, which is we have again this kind of development that is happening near to the riverfront. We are also developing oxygen park, and again it is done through this Miyawaki system for the fresh. This is some very beautiful example from Bihar, wherein this is Darhara village in Bihar. And what they do when a girl child is born, they plant 10 fruit trees and to welcome the birth of a girl child, to build an asset base for her, which can eventually be utilized by the family to finance her education and future development. This green village today boasts of 20,000 fruit bearing trees. So that is one simple way wherein we say socially and culturally we are acting in India. So again, we have examples from Delhi. And this is again, I thought I'll just bring this into this platform. Hyderabad has recently in 2020 February, it has been recognized by FAO, and FAO is an international platform, and it has recognized Hyderabad as a tree city of the world. So this is again, the green cover and all these are kind of statistics which talks about that Telangana Harita Haran targets 230 crore of sapling, and they are proposed to be planted in the state during the next 3 years. So again, lot of green mechanism that had went through the governance part of Hyderabad city, and if a city like Hyderabad, which is again in India, part of our own culture, of Indian culture, one city can do it, why not we spread this that other cities or other states also follow. So this is one way of propagation. And so there are a lot of issues of Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. Forest Policy Division, the town planning scheme has allotted only 5% of urban green. Regulatory authorities entrusted with protection of trees do not have a proactive role to play in city planning and green areas and urban landscape. Absence of long-term planning resulting in frequent changes in land uses, etc., etc. So the list is endless. So let us just try to focus on what are the good strategies. Local governing body to monitor and make it mandatory for residents to plant minimum 2 trees in their house every monsoon. Plant trees that provide multiple benefits, particularly in house compounds for providing edible pods, flower, fruits, leaves, etc. Incentives for plantation may be thought of for the citizen. PSUs in greening under their CSR need to be encouraged. CSR, it's like corporate social responsibility, which a company, if it is profit making, so it is a CSR activity they need to do. They are kind of hammered to say that you have to put certain fund under CSR. Use of partnerships between governments, NGOs and MNCs, that is multinational companies. So we are trying to say that let us all together make tree plantation as a national drive. Plant maximum fruit trees to help combat hunger, poverty and global warming. Identify management practices and policies to reduce vulnerability of ecosystem. Cities need to develop a comprehensive, frequently updated adaptation policy as a disaster preparedness component of climate change action plans. Make environmental issues at the forefront of debate. Raise our voice to ensure our cities are safe and clean for us and for our future generations to live. So planting trees is not the only answer to climate change. Globally, society must continue to draw fuels out of the earth and pump carbon dioxide into our atmosphere unchecked. Planting trees certainly helps reduce CO2. Few other things one can do is drive less, walk, bike, carpool or take mass transit more often. Will save 1 pound of carbon dioxide for every mile you don't drive. Likewise, recycle more, check your tires, turn off electronic devices, keep your car turned up, consider a green roof. So to just one or two more slides wherein I try to sum up that we are Vasudev Kutumbakam, that is again, talked about. So each individual life forms must learn to enjoy its benefits by forming a part of the system in close relation with other species. Let not any one species encroach upon the other's right. That is again a saying by Isopanishad. So we try to do our own bit, and whatever we know, we try to propagate. And so there was just I got a green cap from a NGO, and it was for whatever we are doing in terms of talking, in terms of propagating knowledge, in terms of going to various schools and colleges, trying to motivate people that one should do their own bit. One should not keep complaining the government is not doing. Yes, government is doing a lot of, but we all as citizens, we all have to do our own bit, and that is kind of decreasing our own footprints and increasing our handprints that I keep talking about. So that was one izzat or one kind of Green Warriors, Green Cap Ni Samman, I got it from a group. So thank you for your attention. I think I was a bit quick, but I just tried to manage the time.
Thank you, ma'am, for your very good speech on the topic Hope for the Greener World. And now, after this keynote speech, now it is time for all of us to discuss on the topic by asking questions and doubts. So I request participants, if you have any question or doubt, please ask questions.
Yeah, I would be very happy to because I am doing my research and this is my PhD research, and this is kind of a data of last, I am into this sector of urban greening since last 20 years. But then, yes, when I completed my master's into landscape, we started learning. Now it is like after say 15 years, you mature and then you start seeing things differently. You start also understanding that, why do you not pluck flower? Why our ancestors has said that एक तुलसी का plant आपके entrance में होना चाहिए. Why do we pray people tree or why do we pray tulsi plant? Is there a God there? तो अभी ऐसे बहुत सारी छोटी छोटी चीजें समझ में आने लगी है. पहले तो it wasn't कि we were able to understand or but then slowly जब बच्चे पूछते हैं क्वेश्चंस तो we answer, and बहुत कुछ नहीं आता है तो we go back to some text, understand from our grandparents or parents कैसा क्यों, why is it. So
hello.
Yes.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, Purva.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. I just wanted to know कि जो अभी एनवायरमेंट ग्लोबल वार्मिंग हो रहा है, एनवायरमेंट को लेके गवर्नमेंट काफ़ी बजट में भी बोल रहा है कि हम लोग एनवायरमेंट फ्रेंडली कुछ स्टेप्स लेने चाहिए, स्पेशली लाइक वाटर को लेके ले लो आप, या वेदर को लेके ले लो, क्लाइमेटिकल चेंजेस को लेके ले लो. तो हमें जो एनजीओज होते हैं इन सब को रिलेटेड, डू दे एक्चुअली कंप्लीटली जस्टिफाई वॉट एवर इज बिन असाइंड? मतलब जैसे जो भी प्रोजेक्ट पे वो लोग काम कर रहे हैं, क्या वो एट द एंड फुलफिल होता है?
We cannot generalize all these stakeholders at one platform, saying what your question is, if NGOs are there and if they are working for a green cause or for some causes related to environment, you're saying are they fulfilling their cause?
Correct. Objectives. And then they are able to fulfill their objectives, because I really want to be part of such project. But the main doubt is like I am not getting any clue how to be a part of it. And
you just have to type. I will advise you, don't go very far.
Correct.
Look for wherever you are. You're located at which place, ma'am?
Bangalore.
So Bangalore, so it's hub of green. It's a green city. So
it used to be. It used to be. That is what is
there are lot of groups. There are lot of groups in Bangalore, and Dr. Harini is there, and there are lot many. If you can just connect with me through chat, I'll let you know. There are various groups. They are working on this green cause, and please do not go very far. Associate yourself with the group which is possible. क्योंकि क्या होता है, हम लोग initially जब शुरू करने जाते हैं ना, तो if we take some group which is stationed at say 20 kilometers from our house or residence, and these act has to be done on only our free times,
Correct.
बाकी का time we have 24 hours.
True.
24 hours में 8 hours job, 8 hours sleep. So rest that 8 hours is again family time, cooking time, all those stuff. You are just left with 2 hours, which we can say it is my me time. I would want to do that for myself or the society, something like that. So please take baby step. please look for a platform which is very close to, wherever your workplace, because
तो आपको
manage
कुछ
you from
idea
your,
है any associations like or groups like in Bangalore so that I
you can please get in touch. I'll just I'll just put my cell number here in my chat box. So what you can do is that I'll forward, you can just send me a hello, I'll forward you some groups, and please join, because each city is having lot of WhatsApp group talking about green and agriculture and urban green and urban forest. So each city is nowadays having on talks on these platforms. It's like more after this corona, this has become most talked about platforms of topics about urban green, because डेंगू हुआ तो आप पपीते का पत्ता के लिए घूम रहे थे, एंड हम लोग जब एज एन आर्किटेक्ट वी स्टार्टेड मेकिंग ड्राइंग्स, एंड दैट प्लांटिंग पैलेट में हमने कभी पपीता और पपाया तो कभी लगाया ही नहीं. So with so much of dengues and so much of this corona thing कि हमारे lungs are getting damaged, and you are looking for all this environmental or Ayurvedic plant, which is कि drumstick खाओ तो उसका each part of that drumstick is having protein, from the direct, from the roots to stem to flowers to leaves to everything. So we have changed our palate. So people who are concerned and who has a bit of knowledge, they have changed their palette of planting plants. So abhi roses and all those plants लगते ही नहीं है. Mostly it is all the plants जिसमें you have something, birds coming, some butterflies coming, some plants which you can take in your kitchen and use it. So please just get connected through with me. I have just shared my WhatsApp number. I'll get you connected to lot of local groups. So please join them. Bangalore has एक senior citizens का भी बहुत अच्छा एक group है. I had listened to one of the talks, and they are doing lot of stuff in tree plantation. They are kind of in an urban tree plantation. So there are some senior level community who is working. I'll just connect you to them also. I mean, more than what I would strongly suggest for all of us, including myself, we all have to do our own bit, and that is how we can change the world. So it's not about कि government is not doing, yeah, this NGO कुछ नहीं करता and all. Even if you start doing it, your family will start doing it, and once you and your family started doing, naturally your neighbors will start doing, and things will start happening. So I'm not trying to boast, but what I did was we planted 9 neem trees in front of our house. It's a very good high profile Patel community where we are staying, and it took us almost 10 years, and still we are protecting our 9 neem tree, 13 neem trees from getting it chopped off. So from 13, already 2 are chopped off because one tree had grown so big, but then the neighbor, he started telling that the roots are damaging the boundary wall, which it wasn't. And the third, one more neem trees, because there was a borewell and the roots was coming inside the borewell, the pipe. So then that tree has to be removed. So that was like, we could understand that these are the issues in urban context, and we have to, all of us have to do our own bit to bring nature inside our house and talk about bringing butterflies and monkeys and birds. And we all can do it. It's like, it doesn't take a lot of time and energy. It just requires patience. So with trees and with vegetation, one has to act like a mother. You have to be very patient. You have to see it every day. And I mean, जैसे बच्चों को आप एक हफ्ता छोड़ के आप घूमने चले जाओ, once you come back, it will start acting in a very weird way because no one was there to see. Similar thing happens when we work with vegetation. So you have to see it every day. We have to talk with them. We have to, kind of understand their language because they tell us, yeah, I'm not well. Please feed me
Take care of.
Yes, please feed me with water. Please don't touch. So we just requires to connect.
So, ma'am, where are you doing your PhD from?
I'm doing it from Nirma University. My guide is Professor Utpal Sharma.
So, you're doing in environment.
I am doing in, yes, I can say it as an environment science, but and my topic is urban forest, and I'm looking into the governance because my question it started from that every year there are lot many efforts of trees being planted. So there was a slide in which I was talking about this government planted 1 crore tree and that government planted 60 lakhs trees. So I was a part of this venture. I was working with government for around a decade, and I could understand that there are so much of efforts every 5th June, and we do plant so much, but next year still newspaper tells कि हमारे tree cover is decreasing.
Correct, correct.
And national policies talking about 33%, cities are just 2% and 3%. So I was very curious to know what is it, what is happening. वो 33% तो भूल ही जाओ, but what is happening? हम 2% and 3% से why are we not increasing? Percentage हमारा बढ़ क्यों नहीं रहा है? So from here I started my study and literatures, and so this has been 3 years. I have completed my 3 years. So all of you,
you're in the final stage.
I hope so. With all your blessings, next coming year I'll be.
Because actually, even I am planning to do PhD, and my area will be. I've done already one research in my masters, which was in agriculture. So my area will be connection, like relation between agriculture and environment.
Yeah.
So that's why I was
look for your guide.
True.
Guiding you, and which is like Gujarat University in Gujarat, they are working on agriculture. So you can look into the website of Gujarat University.
Gujarat University.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Now I'll just look into it. Right now, admissions will be open. I have to check that.
Please check.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful webinar for today.
Is there anybody else with any question? The keynote speech was very illustrative. Many examples were given, and how it is the stark need of making plantation to make ourselves secure and the future generations. The discussion session was also fruitful, in which a question was asked and lot of information has been given by Honorable Ma'am. Now, is there anybody else? And now after this, I would like to invite Chief Organizer and Chairperson of this webinar series, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Bedkar sir, for the concluding words. Please sir, welcome.
Thank you, Professor Farad sir, and today's resource Shweta Madam from Ahmedabad. All the organizing committee members, including Vice Principal, IQC Coordinator, Dr. Sanjay Khade sir, Dayanand Patwari sir, Dr. Anil Wadkar sir, Dr. Anita Dhole Madam, Dr. Jamuntra Kadam, Professor Ken Kadam sir, and our retired teacher, who is the best teacher, Kumarswami sir, and all the resource persons of this series, those are joining here, and future resource persons, and all the participants, those who are joining daily, including my colleague Prashant Ughade sir, Karanje sir, Ujje sir. Today's topic was very nearer to our all because greenery is important, forest is, land is deforesting, and no one is taking care of that. Madam has given so many examples and percentages also how it is decreasing, but no one is taking care. In the corona pandemic, we also need some, these are the Ayurvedic plants. So Yuri and she gave the examples of various landscapes developed by her. Is the really need of us
because of the organization, all the municipal or any organization not restricting about to give a free space for landscape or for greenery. They are giving permissions for construction without taking care of the all this nature, and we have lost the beauty of nature also because of the all the cementing all these things. It's a good thing that you have developed all these things for the future generation you have said, and your practical work was for so many years with the holy places or the important places of India you have contributed. Now you are rested as a teacher and doing PhD. We wish all the best for your PhD, madam, because your topic is applicable and such PhDs are definitely show some root to the those who are doing this work or will do the work in this regard. Thank you for your nature loving field and your active participation for our green earth. Thank you to all your efforts and your social contribution and all the planning you have done to do something green on this earth. Thank you, madam, for a best topic here. This is new one in the series, and it was very best, nicely explained with good examples and best techniques from you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And now I am here on behalf of the organizing committee of webinar series Shri Kumarswami College Ausa for the formal vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank Honorable Keynote Speaker and Chief Guest of this national webinar, Honorable Suhane ma'am, who has accepted invitation of our college and spared her precious time to deliver such a nice lecture on the topic to make all of us aware about the importance of trees and its plantation for present and also for future. So on behalf of the organizing committee of webinar series, I sincerely thank you, ma'am. I also thank Honorable Chief Organizer and Chairperson of this webinar series, Principal Dr. M. Bedkar, sir, who is taking continuous and incessant effort to run this webinar series and to meet the objectives of the webinar series of exchanging knowledge, spreading knowledge, and making it beneficial for the students, researchers, knowledge seekers, and teachers. So on behalf of the organizing committee of the college, I thank you, sir. I also thank all the participants who are punctually taking part in the webinar series, listening speeches patiently, and taking active part in the discussion session to their questions and doubts. So thank you, participants. I also thank Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am, who has given very good introduction of today's invited speaker. Now I request participants, do not forget to fill feedback link to have the certificate. And at the end, with the permission of Chief Organizer and Chairperson, I declare here that today's webinar is over. Thanks to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your invitation.
Thank you, madam. We will keep this webinar for 5 minutes and you can take rest.